For the pattern recap, we did a cast on of garter, which is 1 row E-wraps, 1 row purls, and we U-wrapped our end pegs. Then we had a couple of setup rows before we started row 1. Our first setup row was we slipped this peg, and all the way across till we get to the end where you wrap this one, we did purl overs. The second setup row, we slipped this peg, going back in the other direction, and we wrapped 2 and knitted them off, purled the second peg. We did that all the way across, and then you wrapped here. So that was our cast on and our 2 setup rows. Then we started the actual pattern. The setup rows are part of the pattern, but they're not part of the pattern row repeat. So we started row 1. Row 1, we slipped this peg, wrap 2 as 1, knit them both off, purl the second peg. We did this for peg 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Then we have these 3 pegs that are not marked. So we know that they repeat here and here, and they always stay the same. Purl, E-wrap, knit stitch, and you knit it off, and purl. So purl, knit, purl. These 4 pegs in the middle that are marked, I told you they change each row. They're the only ones that change each row to something totally different. So when you get here to this first peg, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, peg 9, we wrap it twice and purl all 3 loops, because you'll have an existing loop here. So you'll have 3 loops. Purl all 3 loops as 1, take it off, and put your new loop back on your peg. Peg 10, we E-wrap and knit it off. Peg 11, we do the same as peg 9. Wrap it twice, purl 3 as 1, take those 3 loops off, put it behind the peg, put your new loop back on, and then we E-wrap the last peg and knit it off. And then remember I said these 3 that aren't marked are the same as these 3. So we purl, knit, purl. Knit being the E-wrap knit stitch. The last 4 pegs we do as the first 4 here after your beginning peg. Wrap 2, knit them off, purl second peg. Wrap 2 as 1, knit them off, purl second peg, U-wrap. Okay, that's row 1. We're going to be going back now another direction to do row 2. To do row 2, we slip this peg, wrap 2 as 1, purl the second, wrap 2 as 1, and you knit them off, and then you purl the second peg. Wrap 2 as 1, knit them off, purl the second peg. Remember, these don't change, purl, knit, purl. Then here, before, we wrap this one twice and this one twice and purl 3 as 1. So we're just going to do the opposite. This one was E-wrap, so we're going to wrap 2, wrap it around twice like an E-wrap, and then purl 3 as 1. That's what we did with this one before, the row before, so we're going to E-wrap it. Wrap twice, purl 3 loops as 1, put your new loop back on, and then E-wrap this one. Then purl, knit, purl. Wrap 2, knit them off, purl the second peg. Wrap 2, knit them off, purl the second peg, U-wrap. That's row 2. Row 3, slip this peg. Again, repeat. Wrap 2, knit them off, purl second. Wrap 2, knit them off, purl second, purl, knit, purl. And then these 4, we're going to do something different again. We're going to wrap 2, like we did up here, and knit them off, purl second peg. This set here that's marked, do the same thing we did with this set. Wrap 2, knit them off, purl second peg. These don't change, purl, knit, purl. Same here as here. wrap 2, knit them off, purl second peg, wrap 2, knit them off, purl second peg, U-wrap. That's row 3. Row 4, we're going back to peg 1, slip, wrap 2, knit them off, purl second peg, wrap 2, knit them off, purl second peg. Doesn't change, purl, knit, purl. We're going to do the same thing here we did on the previous row, except for your second peg will be going in this direction, so you'll be purling this one. So wrap 2, knit them off, purl second peg, wrap 2, knit them off, purl second peg. Doesn't change, purl, knit, purl. And then this will remain the same too. Wrap 2, knit them off, purl second peg, wrap 2, knit them off, purl second peg, and U-wrap. Okay? That's 4. So that's how the pattern 1 through 4 is set up. Then I told you, when you get your scarf, as long as you want to get repeating rows 1 through 4, you only do those 2 setup rows at the beginning. And then you start into the pattern 1 through 4, and you continue 1 through 4, repeating until you get to the length, the end of your pattern, your scarf. And then when you get to the end, we're going to do something similar to what we did with our setup rows. We're going to do 1 row. We're going to slip this peg to 1 row of purl overs, just like we did in the beginning. And then you wrap that last peg. Then we're going to slip that peg, and we're going to do the wrap 2, knit them off, purl the second peg all the way across till you get back to your first peg. Then we're going to bind it off and take it off the loom. And I showed you how to bind off. We used a purl stitch to bind off every peg. And this is how it turned out. Okay? And you see the little cabling starting to form there, a little faux cabling. Okay? Now, I did do some looking around for some options, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute if you can't use wool.